Shalom. First and foremost, call halal yamla Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Harachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the bishops and the elders of Great Millstone, from whom I learned this truth from, and also peace and salutation to the hopefully elect of the nation of Israel, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And the title of this video is simply going to be, "There is no peace unto the wicked." Alright, and we know that the wicked people, the wicked nation of people on the earth, according to the Bible, are the biblical Edomites, okay, known as the border of wickedness pursuant to Malachi 1 verse 4. Alright, and the biblical Edomites is, the so-called white man that's ruling the earth today. Okay, even though over there in the Holy Land, calling themselves the JEWs, okay, those are nothing but Edomites, specifically of the tribe of Amalek. Alright, that's in the Holy Land, that's a part of, the whole entire rulership of the earth in these latter days. As the scripture says in 2nd Ezra 6 verse 9 in the Apocrypha, Esau be the end of the world. Alright, and so, here we are at the end of Esau's world, the last days before Yahushua comes back. And, what do we see throughout the earth? All types of confusion, unrighteousness, alright, infirmities everywhere, ungodliness, impieties, no fear of the Lord, no respect of Yahweh Shema Shai, okay, his laws, the laws and the commandments of Yahweh Shema Shai are, pretty much, frowned upon throughout the earth, the ancient way, okay, the true order of a man, the true order of a woman, okay, respect for his creation, all right, just, everything that is called of Yahweh Shema Shai, okay, is not, respecting in the earth things out of days, okay, there's no fear of the Lord, all right, no righteousness, okay, which leads to what? An earth where there's no peace, you see. And I'm going to start off in the book of Isaiah, chapter 48 and verse 20. It says, "Go ye forth of Babylon, flee ye from the Chaldeans." And we, the nation of Israel, pretty much the main bulk of the 12 tribes, we're here in Babylon all over again. Babylon the Great, America. Okay, the daughter of Babylon, as I was going into in the video I did last night. Okay, the daughter of Babylon, pursuant to Jeremiah 51:33. Okay, talking about America, Babylon the Great. Okay, and synonymously, pursuant to Psalms 137, our forefather King David referred to the Edomites as the daughter of Babylon. Okay, so showing you, connecting the dots in the spirit, Esau, Edom will be the one to be ruling over this modern day Babylon, Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, in these latter days, which is America. Okay, so it says, Isaiah 48 verse 20, "Go ye forth of Babylon, flee ye from the Chaldeans." And spiritually, we, the hopeful elect here in Babylon the Great, are fleeing out of this place spiritually. Deliver every man his soul, as it speaks of in Jeremiah 51. Okay, and flee ye from the Chaldeans, which the Chaldeans were pretty much the wise men and the priesthood, okay, of ancient Babylon. Okay, today the Chaldeans, the modern day Chaldeans over this modern day Babylon, America, will be likened to what? These technocrats, your E. Musk, right? And these people that Trump is rubbing elbows with to go forward with all this AI and Project Stargate that he announced. Okay, just a couple of days after his inauguration. Okay, these technocrats and whatnot that we see today will be likened to your modern day Chaldeans, your modern day wise men of this time. Okay, in this modern day Babylon. All right, and we, the hopeful elect, we're most certainly fleeing from the Chaldeans, these technocrats, and all the pseudoscience and the technology that Esau is boasting in these latter days. All leading to that charagma. You see, because the elect, pursuant to Revelation 14, will be taking a bold stance against Esau's pseudoscience technology, his charagma, his image, all right, his lying wonders, right, the working of Satan that he would be doing in these latter days, all right. So it says, Isaiah 48:20 again, go ye forth of Babylon, flee ye from the Chaldeans, with a voice of singing declare ye. And we're singing a new song, the everlasting gospel, declaring what? Tell this, utter it even to the end of the earth. Okay, and that's what we, the hopeful elect, will be doing these latter days. Okay, uttering and singing this new song, this everlasting gospel, okay, throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, it says, utter it even to the end of the earth. Say ye, the Lord Yahweh Shema Shah hath redeemed his servant Jacob. Yeah, and that's one of the main, talking points of this everlasting gospel that we preach. Starting with the apostles, the great millstone, and the elders and the bishops, down to the least of us that are of the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. One of the major, aspects of this gospel that we preach is that, the Lord Yahweh Shema Shah is getting ready to deliver or redeem, right, or save his servant Jacob, all right, the elect of the nation of Israel, those of us that are serving Yahweh Shema Shai with fear and trembling, all right, making our bodies a living sacrifice, preaching his gospel in the name of the Heavenly Father and the Son, Yahweh Shema Shai, doing the works of, to obtain salvation, all right. This would be one of the main things they will be uttering throughout the ends of the earth. Yahweh Shema Shai is getting ready to redeem or deliver or save his elect, okay, his servants among Jacob, okay, through the right hand, the begotten Son of the Heavenly Father Yahweh, which is Yahweh Shai, whom this world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. It says, verse 21, and they thirsted not when he led them through the deserts, and he caused the waters to flow out of the rock for them. Okay, I'm gonna read that again. It says, and they thirsted not when he led them through the deserts. Yeah, we the hopeful elect, as the Lord will be waking us up in these latter days. We thirsted not, because what? We have these rivers of living waters, this truth. Okay, the wells of salvation, as it speaks of also in the book of Isaiah. This truth, this gospel, this understanding that we have is likened to wells of salvation in the book of Isaiah. I forget which chapter and verse is written. I want to say maybe Isaiah the 12th chapter, if I'm not mistaken. But this truth, this understanding, this wisdom is likened to waters. Rivers of living water, as Yahweh said in the book of John. All right, and wells of salvation, as it speaks of in the book of Isaiah. So it says again, verse 21, and they thirsted not when he led them through deserts. Babylon the Great is likened to a desert, okay, a place with no water, or a place with no truth, right? A valley of dry bones, right? Pursuant to Ezekiel 37, it says, he causeth the waters, all right, this truth, to flow out of the rock for them. And what is this rock likened to? Yahweh Shai. All right, that rock, that we drank from out of the wilderness. All right, and we're drinking from that same rock, Yahweh Shai, all over again here in this modern day Egypt, this modern day Babylon. Okay, which is this truth. We, the hopeful elect, are drinking from the rock, Yahweh Shai, all over again. Okay, Yahweh Shai, the rock of our salvation. Okay, the chief cornerstone of our salvation. It says again, he caused the waters to flow out of the rock for them. He clave the rock also, and the waters gushed out. Yeah, and his truth has gushed out, all right, out of that rock, Yahweh Shai. And is baptizing us, the hopeful elect, spiritually. Okay, we're immersed and submerged, all right, submerged in his truth. Okay, these are rivers of living waters, this truth, this everlasting gospel. All right, but then it says, verse 22, there is no peace, said the Lord, unto the wicked. You see, there's no peace unto the wicked. Talking about Esau, Edom. You know, because as it says in 1 Thessalonians 5, 1 Thessalonians 5, as the Apostle Paul is speaking on, the things that will be leading up to the day of the Lord, or the day when Yahushua comes back, he speaks of what? In verse 3 in this chapter. Okay? 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 3. For when they shall say peace and safety, okay, who is the they? The wicked, Esau, Edom. Okay? For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So in these last days, as Esau knows that he has but a short time left before the day of the Lord, before Yahushua comes back, all right, he's going to come down with great wrath, all right, but because Esau is such a witch, all right, and a serpent on the left hand side, when he comes down with great wrath, persecution against people that are speaking the truth and speaking out against his NWO agenda, and especially coming after the men of the Lord, those of us that's preaching this everlasting gospel against his NWO agenda. Esau's going to be using his witchcraft and his pseudoscience and whatnot to present his wrath as peace and safety on different levels. Okay, to perform high level witchcraft and deception on these people in this world, including the 2/3 of our people. Okay, he's going to be presenting his wrath, okay, in different ways, shapes, and form as peace and safety. That people that are speaking truth and speaking out against his agenda, he's going to be labeling them at, making them offenders for a word, and labeling them as, enemies of the state, and a threat, public threat to society and things like that. Okay, C theorists and T-errorists, radicals, extremists, and all these different buzzwords that he always likes to throw out in the media, to demonize people that speak the truth against the system. He's going to be labeling people as anti-Sim, all right. All to justify coming down with great wrath, and he's going to be presenting this witchcraft as peace and safety upon people, all right. As Esau, okay, is the number one villain when it comes to all these wars that's throughout the earth, all this confusion, all this deception that's throughout the four corners of the earth, all this violence. Okay, millions of children going missing throughout the earth every year. All right, these these freak parties that go on behind closed doors. Okay, what else? Destruction of the family structure, feminism, all of this, alphabet agenda. Okay, just all of this wickedness that's going on throughout the four corners of the earth. Okay, Esau, Edom has a major hand in it all. Okay, and then not to mention all these sicknesses and diseases that spread throughout the earth. Okay, Esau, Edom has a major hand in all of this. Okay, and so in these latter days, what is Esau, Edom going to be doing? Okay, what is he going to be presenting as solutions to all the madness and the chaos that he's spread throughout the earth? Well, he's going to be presenting his technology as the solution to all the diseases and the confusion and the wars and the division that's going on throughout the earth. Okay, in the form of ultimately the charagma. That's going to be Esau's ultimate ultimate presentation of peace and safety and solutions throughout the earth. You see that charagma, that micro-Chip. Okay, where he's going to present the charagma as a means to, allow the blind to see again, allow the deaf to hear again, allow the lame to walk again. Okay, he's going to be presenting the charagma as a tool to detect If you have any upcoming sicknesses or diseases or whatnot, so that Esau can use that charagma to so say fight against it before it happens, and prevents it, whatever diseases that creep up inside your body. He's going to be presenting these things as peace and safety, right? But then it says, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. Okay, the them being who? All these people, throughout the earth, including 2/3 of our people, that's going to trust in his peace and safety, his pseudoscience, his pseudo solutions, his pseudo salvation. All right, his pseudo salvation, because Esau going to be presenting his left hand science and technology as basically a left hand Messiah. You see, left hand Messiah. Okay, to present left hand false solutions to all the problems that he's created throughout the earth. Esau Edom, that is. You see? It says, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Yeah. And that's mainly, directed towards the 2/3 of our people that's going to bow the knee, take the charagma, and trust in Esau's peace and safety. Okay? The Lord's going to bring sudden destruction upon them in a form of what? That grievous sore spoken of in Revelation 16:2. And then ultimately the missiles. Okay? 2/3 of our people that's going to bow the knee and take their charagma and trust in Esau's pseudoscience technology. Alright, the Lord's going to bring judgment upon them to where they should not escape. Okay? Nuclear destruction, nuclear missiles. Alright? But this, just another example of how there's no peace unto the wicked, Esau Edom. Alright? Because you got to remember, as it tells you in Revelation 6:4, alright, going into the red horse, Revelation chapter 6, verse 4, and there went out another horse that was red. Okay? And what, nation of people in the Bible are associated with red? Esau Edom. As the name Edom, when you go into Genesis 25, the name Edom itself, Adawam in the Hebrew literally means red. You see, Edom, Adawam, literally means red. When you go into Genesis 25th chapter, he was given the name Edom, Adawam, which means red. Okay, to as a memorial for basically him giving away the birthright off of that red pottage that our forefather Jacob was making. All right, when Esau came back from hunting, Esau gave away the birthright, okay, for a bowl of half cooked red pottage, because he thought he would basically pass out and die if he didn't get some food in his stomach immediately. All right, after coming back from hunting, and it was from that moment Esau's name was changed to Edom, Adawam, which means red. Okay, so as we're reading right here in Revelation 6:4, this red horse is referring to Esau Edom in this whole entire power structure these other days via the beast system. America, NATO, and the EU. All right, and a horse, horse represents power. Okay. So Revelation 6 verse 4 again, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him. See that? Showing you that, the horse in this verse is just simply referring to power. All right, not Esau, not talking about Esau literally riding upon a horse. Okay, but it just symbolized Esau Edom being in power in these outer days. It says, and power was given to him and sat thereon to take what? To take peace from the earth. See that? To take peace from the earth. There's no peace from the wicked. Okay? And that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. We know Esau Edom was blessed with a sword, okay, pursuant to Genesis 27 chapter, where he was blessed to receive, to rule over the fatness of the earth, all right, and the dew of heaven, the whole entire four corners of the earth, by way of what? The sword. Wars, violence, okay, his military, tanks, missiles, guns, all right, And not to mention, rule throughout the earth by way of what? Confusion. Okay, it's pharmakeia. All right, destroying the food, destroying the family structure, overthrowing government. His false education system, his false religions. That's also another part of Esau's sword. His instruments of death that he's spread throughout the earth. Okay, to take away peace from the earth. All right, to take away peace from the earth. You see, so a lot of these calamities and destructions that's happening throughout the earth, whether it be wars, confusion, okay, tensions between nations, all right, military coups, in these different countries around the world, just all, manner of wickedness throughout the earth. Esau Edom has his hand in the midst of it in some way, shape, or form. Even certain, weather disasters that happens throughout the earth. Okay, because we know Esau deals with the HARP program, where he's able to manipulate the weather to bring forth, weather disasters and whatnot, whether it be floodings, earthquakes, okay, things of that nature. And ironically, over these past couple weeks, ever since the tension between Israel and Iran has pretty much popped off. We've seen about 2 or 3 earthquakes that took place over there in Iran over these past couple weeks. All right, you don't think Esau Edom has his hand in that in some way, shape, or form? Okay, you best believe he does. As again, look up the HARP program. All right, HAARP, the HARP program. Or Esau Edom has the power. As he was given power to not only, to rule over the fatness of the earth, but the Lord even gave this devil a certain extent amount of power to rule the heavens, all right, the skies in different ways, to manipulate weather. So Esau Edom uses weather as a part of his sword as well, to all do what? Take away peace from the earth. Okay, and now Esau's gonna, using his pseudoscience and his technology and AI, all right, in the Karagman is out of days, to somehow, present these things as, peace and solution and safety from all the problems that he's created in the first place. All right, but really and truly, as we're going into, this devil is not about peace. Okay, he's all about war. All right, the sword, taking away peace from the earth. Okay, reducing the population down to 500 million people, according to his Georgia Guidestones. All right, destroying the food, destroying the air, destroying the water, the waters that we drink out of. Okay, destroying the animals and the Lord's creations. All right, destroying natural herbs and the things that we need that naturally come out of the earth. All right, this man is the wicked, and as it speaks of in Habakkuk 2, he is as death and can never be satisfied. This man Esau Edom isn't about peace and true safety. He's all about death and destruction. Okay, and the working of Satan. He's the man of sin, the son of perdition. So let's get Psalms 28 and 3. It says, this is a psalm by King David. All right, Psalms 28 verse 3. He says, "Draw me not away with the wicked and with the workers of iniquity." Okay, the workers of iniquity. And our forefather King David spoke about the workers of iniquity in the book of Psalms, the 64th chapter. Okay, talks about how they encourage themselves in the evil matter. All right, and so on and so forth. Doing all matter of rebellion and wickedness against Yahweh Shemal Shai and against his elect. Okay, and he says, Psalms 28 and 3 again, Draw me not away with the wicked and with the workers of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief is in their hearts. Yeah, they have these particular talking heads and these presidents and these puppets get on live TV, these politicians and whatnot. Okay, get on TV and speak, peace and safety and this, that, and the third. Make all these broken promises. Okay, talk about how they're gonna use, less politics and more science to bring forth, more solutions and safety throughout the earth. Safety from all these wars and confusion and combating what they deem as misinformation on the internet. All right, fake news and whatnot. Using their pseudoscience technology to combat all these diseases throughout the earth. Okay, they speak peace to their neighbors, right? Peace and safety. But as I said, mischief is in their hearts. All right, let's look up this word, mischiefs. All right, mischiefs. Strong's H7451. Ride, and it says bad, evil. All right, disagreeable, malignant, unpleasant. Okay, evil, giving pain, unhappiness, misery. All right, misery, unhappiness, pain. And that's what Esau's so-called peace has always led to throughout all of history. Anytime he comes to particular region of the earth or encounters different nations throughout the earth, and he presents himself as if he's he's all about making these treaties and agreements and whatnot, these promises. It all ultimately leads to the same things over and over and over. Okay, people get unalived, lands get stolen, riches get stolen. Okay, more misery, more unhappiness upon the people that fall victim to his sword, more pain. Okay, more genocide, more slavery. All right, just more wickedness. Okay, though he presents it as peace and safety. All right, and you best believe Esau is going to do that. Is going to play by the same playbook all over again in these outer days. But this time, Esau Edom is not going to have his way with this wickedness, because now we're in a time where the Lord is getting ready to judge him. All right, as it speaks of in Job the 20th. Matter of fact, let's get it real quick before I butcher it. Job 20, and I'll just go straight to the point. Verse 23 says, when he is about to fill his belly, all right, talking about when Esau Edom is going to attempt to establish this NWO agenda, because that's the fulfillment of his belly. That's his heart's desire, to set up an NWO agenda, to enslave all humanity via the charagma, and set up Satan's kingdom of heaven on the earth through wickedness, rebellion, AI, pseudoscience, technology, just all types of ungodly energy throughout the earth. But it says, when he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. Okay, so when this devil Esau Edom is going to attempt to establish his NWO agenda to fulfill his belly, Yahweh Shema Shah is going to cast his fury upon him, and rain down the missiles upon him and bring judgment upon Esau Edom, and destroy all of his misery, and his mischief that he has set up in the earth in his latter days, while presenting it as peace and safety, because ultimately, the true peace and safety on the earth is ultimately going to come when Yahweh Shai returns and establishes the throne of David on the earth, which is the 144,000, which is going to serve as the governing body directly under Yahweh Shai. Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6 says, for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, talking about Yahweh Shai, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the mighty power, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace, okay, which just simply all goes into different titles and different ranks that Yahushua is going to obtain, okay, when he makes the second coming to the earth and takes down all these heathen nations. All right. It says, verse 7, of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom. You see that? So basically, when Yahushua establishes his government, all right, the throne of David, the 144,000, all right, and increases his government, the throne of David, all right, via what? Subduing the heathen nations, okay, taking the lands of the heathen nations, and ultimately, ruling the fatness of the earth. Of the increase of Yahushua's government, the throne of David is going to increase peace throughout the earth. You see that? So true peace and safety is going to come when Yahushua returns and set up the throne of David. All right, the 144,000, which is going to, be the governing body to rule directly under Yahushua in the kingdom of heaven. Okay, because what's one of the main things? All right, or rather, what's one of the main ways that Yahushua and the throne of David are going to establish peace and increase peace throughout the earth? When you read in Isaiah the 2nd chapter, or Micah the 2nd chapter, or Micah the 4th chapter, it speaks about how the law is going to go forth from Jerusalem. Okay, and the heathen nations are going to have to be taught the laws. And then when you continue reading down, it speaks about how the heathen nations will learn the ways of war no more. Through what? Yahushua and the throne of David rebuking the heathen nations, all right, and destroying their weapons, their military weapons and whatnot, okay, and not teaching them the ways of war no more, okay. With this system, with a governing system like that set up in the earth, okay, in righteousness, that's the type of system that's going to lead to true peace and safety flourishing throughout the earth. So it says again, Isaiah 9 verse 7, of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom to order it. See that? To order it. And that's another aspect of how, all right, the kingdom of heaven, the throne of David, is going to increase peace throughout the earth, because it's going to be, everything is all going to be done in order. You see? As a matter of fact, because as it says in Sirach 10, in verse 1, says a wise judge will instruct his people. And that's what Yahushua is going to do. Okay, he's going to instruct his people, the nation of Israel, starting with the elect. Okay, starting with his government, the tabernacle of David. It says, and the government of a prudent man being Yahushua again, is well ordered. See that? So the government of Yahushua is going to be well ordered. The throne of David, the tabernacle of David, the 144,000. Okay? And so through Yahushua ordering his government, the throne of David, okay, through prudence, all right, through wisdom, okay, and ultimately, the new bodies and the new covenant that we're going to enter into upon the return of Yahushua is all going to lead to, as we're going to, peace, all right, increasing throughout the earth. Okay, so it continues to say, the middle part of Isaiah 9 verse 7, it says to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Lord Yahweh of hosts will perform this. You see that? So it's going to be, the tabernacle, the Yahushua is going to set up the tabernacle of David throughout the earth. Okay, it's the governing body of the kingdom of heaven under Yahushua to establish what? Righteous judgment, righteous justice, okay, order, right, via the laws and the commandments, okay, subduing the heathen nations, and not allowing them to learn the ways of war no more, all right, and it's going to be through that type of rulership that's going to bring true peace and safety throughout the earth, okay, and righteousness, all right, it's going to be through this type of rulership that's going to renew the earth. Okay, that's going to restore, refresh, renew the earth in righteousness. Okay, and it's all going to be done under Yahweh Shai's watch in the kingdom of heaven. See that? So until then, hey, we're just waiting for Yahweh Shema Shai to take down Esau, Edom, the wicked, okay, and all of his madness that he has set up in the earth in his latter days, so that true peace can be restored in the earth, okay, through Yahweh Shai in the tabernacle of David. All right. So so that's pretty much all I wanted to get into. I didn't want to make this too long. So Lord willing, this video is edifying. And until next time, Shalom.